After 14 years of playing this game, and this number is definitely low. It's only since 2018, and it's only one account. So over 10,000 hours of playing this game for sure. And a year of coaching high elo GM Chal players at the amateur level. I wanted to ramble a bit about what I think is maybe the single most important skill required in League and in any esport, and that's discipline. A little bit about myself. I'm going to go through my Soloq history here for a bit. Like I said, I started playing this game season 2, 14 years ago. And I started trying to really climb. I got back into it in 2020 and started putting some real games into the putting some real games in and trying to climb. So let's see how I did. So 2020, I played 300 Senna games. I played about 4, maybe 500 games, and I climbed from end of the season before I was gold 3. So let's say gold 3. And I climbed at the end of the year to gold 2, gold 3. I peaked at, I did hit plat 4 actually, just barely at the end of the season there. But yeah, I went from gold 3 to gold 3, 500 games, pretty good. Actually, no, I'm sorry. At the end of the season, I did hit plat 4. I hit plat 4. Okay. If we go to 2021 here, let's see. I played 600 games, 400 games. It's probably something like 1,200 games. I think that's pretty fair, including other accounts and whatnot. 2021. Let's see here. We ended plat 4, and we started. We also started plat 4. Okay, so 1,200 games to go from plat 4 to plat 4. I would call that hardstuck. I think that's like certified hardstuck. I think that's like the Heimerdinger guide levels of hardstuck. Now let's go to 2022. So about 600 games here, 500 games of Senna, very fun champ. 300 games here, 200 games here. Wow, a lot of games played on random ass champs. I think 1,200 games again is fair, maybe more than that. And we went from plat 4. We peaked D3. I remember here, this was, I got coaching. We went up, it was either here or it was here. I don't remember. But I did manage to hit peak D3. And only took 1,200 games. I would still personally call this hardstuck. That is a lot of fucking games. But we did climb a little bit. If we go to 2023, not as many games here. We 100 games. Is what, 300 games, something like that. So let's say 500 games. 500 games 2023, and we went nowhere. We went from D4 to Emerald 4. Not bad. Not bad for 500 games. Minus 400 LP. So after thousands of games, my natural limit is something like D4 High Emerald. After way too many games. Now, I was getting pretty disheartened with my performance. And I was really enjoying. I was watching a lot of pro play. I was watching a lot of LS. I was watching a lot of draft videos. I was talking in some online communities about draft, and I was like, "Fuck it, let's try coaching." So I coached an Emerald team, and then I started being an analyst for like a Diamond team and a Masters team, and then I became an analyst for like a GM Challenger team in EU, and then I eventually started head coaching a GM Challenger NACL qualifiers team in NA, obviously. And I was their head coach. And eventually, after about a year, I was done with it. And the reason I stopped is I found that the number one thing players actually needed from me was not draft knowledge, game knowledge, deep analysis, intricate strategy, these kinds of things. While some of that stuff was helpful for transitioning solo queue players to competitive, because I was working with like kids who are like very good at the game, GM challenger, but very new to competitive, and I found those things weren't actually that important. High level strategy isn't really important until you reach the top levels of the game, and we were just not even close to that. What they needed from me is discipline, and I'll go into what I mean by this. But that's what I felt they really needed from me, and I felt that I had really, really awful discipline. And what the fuck was I doing? Trying to teach these players or coach these players discipline when I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. So I stopped coaching, and I decided to actively focus on discipline. And I'll go into what this is, what this means, etc. But I started playing on my Smurf here. My Smurf. It was my Smurf at this point. And I started here in September. We climbed up to D1, new peak, pretty big. And then new split, 3 splits for some stupid fucking reason in 2024. And we climbed to Masters 280 LP, which it was like very, very, very close to GM. GM was like 320, 330 LP at this time. I peaked rank 1200. And I know this rank is not like extremely impressive, but for me, after playing thousands and thousands of games stuck in fucking Emerald Diamond, it's very impressive that I was able to do this. And this was not just like a fluke. This was a consistent improvement. I actually got better at the game, and it reflected in my elo. And I attribute this entirely to working on my discipline. Now that I've said this word enough times, I'm going to allow one of my favorite coaches, Nick Saban. He, if you don't know who this guy is, you're probably not American. He's was a college football coach. Coached for a few decades. Maybe the best college coach of all time. I don't know college football all that well. But in his last 20 seasons, he won 7 of them, won the national title. Not bad. But this guy is one of the best in the world at taking young, fresh talent, 18-year-olds, and turning them into professionals. That's what I think coaching is at this collegiate level. So I'm going to let him talk about discipline.
Version of themselves. Look, everybody's got to have a vision for what they want to do. Everybody's got to know what they have to do to do it, but they have to have the discipline to execute it every day. And this is where people struggle. They struggle the most at this part of it. And I'm not talking about the sign on the wall that says disciplines do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done, do the right thing, the right way, the right time, all the time. Those are great definitions of discipline, and leave every one of those signs up. I'm talking about self-discipline. Comes down to 2 questions. We make hundreds of decisions every day that come down to 2 questions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? Over here, there's something you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? If you can make those choices and decisions the right way, you're always going to stay on the path of being able to do the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have. It's how you have to edit your behavior to accomplish the goals that you have. You can't just do what you feel like doing. You got to choose to do the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have. So,
very simply, discipline is doing whatever it is will help you in your goals, and not doing what you feel like doing. Very, very simple. When you're presented with these decisions, you pick the one that may not feel good in the moment, but is what's most conducive to whatever it is you're trying to ultimately do, accomplish, achieve, etc. what does this mean in League? So I'll break this down for myself. One of the biggest things for me was one-tricking. If you notice, I think it was this is very embarrassing to go through this, but season 2021. No. It was let's see, maybe it was 2022. Season 2022, where I have 48 champions played, and I have 100 games on 10 champs. 10 champs, I played 100 games or more. Sure, I mained Senna, but I also wasn't all that good at Senna. I was obviously better at Janna. So big thing was one-tricking. So I could focus on improvement on one champ. And also, everyone knows one-tricking is a better way to climb. For me, turning off chat was a big thing. Some people don't need to turn off chat. For me, I found, and I knew when I turn off chat, I can focus on myself, I can focus on my personal improvement, and I can focus on the game and play better with chat off. Straight up. Sure, sometimes it's like useful here and then, but I knew while it's fun to shit talk in chat, I knew that it will make me play better and it will help me improve the most. Same thing with one-tricking. I know I will improve more if I one-trick than if I do this shit. Reviewing games, same thing. Reviewing games, I don't find very fun, personally, unless it's like a highlight play of my own, which it is important to review good plays you make. I think that's underrated. It's not fun for me. But obviously, it makes you better at the game. Reviewing pro views. Again, I find watching pro views pretty fucking boring. You have to watch them very closely and pay real attention and ask a lot of questions to yourself and try to figure out the answer when you're like really breaking down a pro view of someone else. You have to try to get into their head and figure out what their decision making is. Because there's nobody explaining it to you. You have to figure it out. And once you get really into it, it can be fun. But like at first, it really, really feels like a chore. But it makes you a lot better at the game. Also things outside the game, like not playing when tired. Straight up. Also a big thing for me. It's fun to, I know a lot of amateur players who did this, is playing in a Discord call with your friends. For me, it was extremely, extremely distracting. While it's very fun, it makes playing the game a little bit less of a lonely experience. It always made me play worse, and I could not focus as well, and I did not improve as much. So I stopped doing that. Or I always deafened if I was in call with people. Those are just some examples. I'm sure most of you probably already know that these things, what I just said, will make you better at the game, will make you play better, will help you improve more. And there's so many other things. You can watch any YouTube video from any coach. They will, Coach Curtis, whoever the fuck, LS. It's very easy to find things that will make you better at the game. There's a huge plethora of access to these things, but what you don't have access to is the discipline to actually do them if they're not fun. I really liked one of Whippo's recent rants, many rants. This was a really good one. He was talking about how he grinds a lot of solo queue. And he expects a lot from his teammates, but he doesn't necessarily expect them to do that. He expects them, however, to do whatever it is to the fullest extent, whatever it takes for them to play their best and improve the most. It's about whatever is best for you. If spamming solo queue 24/7 is what works for you, for your improvement, and for you to play your best on game day, that's what he expects of his teammates. If his teammates don't get much from solo queue, but they get a lot from reviewing their own VODs, reviewing pro views, whatever, then he expects them to do that as much as possible. If they, benefit most from a balance, he expects that. If they benefit most from, visualizing matchups in their head, he expects them to do that all the time. It's whatever works for you, and you won't actually know what works for you until you really, like I said, commit to actually doing these things. And, you'll find some things work for you and some things don't. And then you have to have the discipline, reinforce the discipline over and over to actually do the things that work. And then you'll the cycle kind of perpetuates itself in a positive direction. So discipline's pretty broken for improving at this game. But you may be asking, how do I get it? I see discipline as a muscle. You heard Mr. Saban there say, you're making thousands of decisions every day. Obviously, you're not going to have discipline in every single one of these decisions. You're not going to make the decision all 1,000 times. However, you can start with one of those 1,000. And you'll find if you start with 1, 2 gets a lot easier. And then 3 gets easier. And 4 gets easier. And it gets easier and easier and easier because you are building that muscle. There was an interview I remember with David Goggins, the king of discipline. And someone was talking about some study done where there's actually like a part of your brain that literally grows and develops when you do things that you don't want to do, when you force your body through things that you do not want to do. And whether that's true or not, doesn't matter. But I really think a psychological muscle is built where it literally gets easier for you to, like, the pain becomes very easy. If not, even if it's just because like you start to actually feel the positive effects of it, right? When I started climbing because of my discipline, right, I was like, wow, this actually is really working. I was more motivated to have more discipline. Like I said, it's a cycle that positively perpetuates itself. How I built this discipline in my day-to-day life, the easiest way for anybody and everybody to build discipline is going to the gym, working out, this kind of thing. I started out in like June of last year. I started out, once, twice a week. I built myself up after a few weeks to 5 days a week. And then for those 6 months, I went to the gym 5 days a week, every single morning. And to do that, to set it up with my job and whatnot, I went to sleep pretty religiously at 10 or 10:30 every night. No League of Legends player goes to bed that early. I might be the only one. These are two very, very simple things that I, at first was difficult, but I did it, slowly but surely, and I started doing it. I also put myself through kind of a discipline boot camp. I did an online degree starting again in like July, a little after I started going to the gym, maybe July, August, something like that. I think it was July. I got in an online degree program, and I wanted to try to do it as fast as I could. So I did it start to finish. I definitely started too aggressively, but I did it start to finish in 2 months, a full bachelor's degree. And I did that by studying 8 to 10 hours a day for 6 days a week. I definitely started, like I said, too fast. I burned myself out a bit, and I had to take like a 2-week break. I was just so out of it. But I managed to finish it in 2 months. If I had like actually progressed into it, which and built it up over time, I probably would have finished it under a month, maybe a little over that. But that was a really, really good boot camp for studying. I don't fucking enjoy studying, but I did it. I set a schedule. I avoided things that would distract me from studying. TikTok, YouTube, whatever. Like I used my breaks as I did like exercise and stuff when I had breaks, or eating, whatever. I avoided anything that would distract me. And all of those choices, not not watching TikTok, for example, was a choice I made because I knew it would just fuck me. Like, it would be so hard for me to get back into studying if I did that. If I have a 15-minute break, if I spend those 15 minutes watching TikTok, it is so hard for me to get back into studying. If I spend those 15 minutes stretching or reading, what have you, very easy for me to get back into it. Even just sitting outside, whatever, very easy for me to get back into studying. And I use these same skills in Soloq later on. And just making more and more as I, like I said, going to the gym, etc., it became more and more easy for me to make the decision on a day-to-day basis. I remember Jordan Peterson, a little bit of a controversial figure here, he would always talk about making your bed. He talked a lot about making your bed. And I was always like, what the fuck is up with that? Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't do a whole lot for you. Like, why are we making a deal out of this? It's because it's a fantastic first step to building discipline. Because it's starting your day by doing something that you don't feel like doing, but will be nice later in the day to have your bed made, makes your whole day set up to have more discipline. Obviously, when you start, maybe that's the only discipline thing you do, but it makes it easier to do that for the rest of the day. Obviously, you do need breaks. You need to do fun things. I'm not saying always only do whatever is long-term best for you, but like taking breaks and doing fun things can also be, long-term best for you. I think Dennis Rodman is a pretty fucking good example of that. Probably the best example of a guy who, his what he needed to perform at his best is not the same as what a lot of his teammates needed. He did not need to grind. What he needed was outlets to get out his energy, so that come game day he could do his role. He could play his role to the best of his ability, better than anybody else in the fucking world. I'll also show you here what happened when I slacked on my discipline. So as you can see, this account is now D1 20LP, and I am hard stuck again. And this is because in January, the gym started to get pretty full, very full, to the point where I had to wait in line for free weights and stuff like that. And I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing this. And starting there, my discipline started to fall apart. I started to get lazier in my job. I wasn't as organized, etc. And it came, my diet, I became less organized in, less disciplined in. And as you can see, it has manifested itself. While I didn't, I wanted to hit GM really bad. I didn't quite make it, but I do think I taught myself the importance of discipline and taught myself how to build discipline. I very clearly did get a lot better at discipline, and I am going to get back into it, but I don't want to. I think I'm done devoting my energy to this game. I want to devote it elsewhere, and that's the other great thing about discipline is it will transfer to the rest of your life. It will transfer to anything, any goal that you want to accomplish. It will make it easier because you will be better at doing whatever it takes to do the goal, whether it's fun or not. Griffin, the jungler he was an NA jungler, and then he went over to Korea onto the T1 Academy team. His Twitter bio for a while was, you'll either live with the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You have a choice.